Hi, what's up? Happy Sunday. So, welcome to Yoga with April if you're new. If you are still hanging out with me and following along with my flows, I appreciate you. So this one is kind of a combination of two requests that I've gotten. I've gotten a lot of questions about yoga for better posture, and I've also gotten questions about yoga for working from home. So yeah, basically what I've done, I've put together poses that I will do throughout the day, along with poses that I know will work for better posture. So not just like posture itself, but more awareness of how you're sitting, some core activation, because that will help keep the spine nice and straight, and that will help you kind of develop the muscles needed to integrate that into your everyday life. I think we're all always working on better posture, but with at least the poses or the flow that we'll do today, that will kind of warm your body up and get your body used to the awareness that it needs to continue to have some good posture. So I would suggest using blocks today. I know a lot of people that follow along with me asked for like some beginner friendly poses or some beginner friendly flows. So instead of me not cueing blocks, we're gonna do it with blocks today. So you don't necessarily need blocks. You could use water bottles, you could use a vase, you could use literally anything that is at least maybe the height of this. Books, Harry Potter books, anything like that will work. Yeah, so go ahead, pause this if you need to. Definitely go find some, because I'm gonna try my best. That's something I'm always working on too, so I'm gonna try my best to continue to integrate these into the flow today. So once you are there, we're gonna start on our shins, or we're gonna start in Virasana. So Virasana pose simply means, and definitely give it a try if you'd like to. You're on your shins like this, definitely totally okay. Stay like that if you would like to. Bring the blocks, I don't know, maybe right next to the hips, right where your feet kind of are here too. If you wanna try Virasana, all you're gonna do is separate the ankles a little bit. Get that fat that's under the calves here, kind of separate it so your bum can hit the mat. And then the heels will be a little bit suctioning maybe your outer hips. This might be a lot on the knees, and if it is, just kind of scoop back on up and go back to your shins. But I want to start in this pose, so we'll be here for a little bit. Why I would like to start either on shins pose or Virasana, basically so we can have some awareness, right? So I want you to be aware of how your spine is. Naturally, you're probably hunching. Let's actively work on grounding the sit bones in, whether that is bum on the mat or bum on your heels, while we lift and lengthen the chest. So we're grounding down the sit bones as we lift and lengthen. We want a slight tug of the chin here as well. So wherever you are today, what we'll do, we'll take just a few breaths to center ourselves before we kind of get into the mix and the movement of it all. So if you do feel comfortable doing so, let the palms kind of fall on the shins, fall on the thighs, maybe they meet the ground, wherever feels good for you today. Let the eyes get heavy. And we'll take a nice inhale together. We're gonna fill up the side bodies, fill up the stomach, let the chest expand through, and then you'll have an audible exhale out. Perfect, again, big inhale here. Feeling the collarbones expand, letting the chest get high. Once we are at the top, try to hold here for 3, 2, and 1. Push it all out. Last one here, big inhale. Holding again here for 3, 2, and 1. Exhale it all out. Beautiful. Now this time as we inhale, let's bring the arms up overhead so our palms will touch, and then we'll exhale the thumbs to our sternum. Once more here, inhale, arms up overhead. This time as we exhale, that right hand is going to find a block. If this is too high for you, go ahead and ignore using the block right here or whatever you do have, and go ahead and let the hand hit the floor. But for props purposes today, we'll keep using the block. So let that right hand land wherever it can. And as you inhale, you're gonna extend that left arm up overhead so that palm's gonna be facing the ground. Maybe you gaze over that left shoulder, or under that left shoulder rather. When we work from a home, typically we're sitting a lot. We're not getting a lot of lateral stretching. So we're gonna be doing that a lot. We'll do a lot of lateral stretching, a lot of shoulder opening, chest opening as well. So go ahead and kind of marinate here. Let that left sit bone get heavy. You'll probably have a slight bend in that right elbow, totally cool. And just imagine that big line long of energy pushing over towards the right side of the room. Once you do find comfort here, go ahead and breathe into that left side body. So go ahead and close the eyes and just visualize opening up in between the rib cage. And we'll exhale back to center, palms will meet. Again, inhale, arms up overhead. This time as we exhale, that left arm, or that left hand rather, will find a block. And your inhale will allow that right hand to expand up overhead, over towards the left side. And again, anywhere the gaze feels comfortable. Mine naturally always goes right, below my right armpit here. So if that's where it's for you at today, that's cool too. Keep that palm facing the ground. And this isn't really a passive pose, right? So you're actively pushing over towards the left side of the room as you're reminding that right sit bone to really ground down, whether that's on the mat or on your heel. And when you provide that activation, or bring that activation rather, into your practice, you'll find that you can create more space, or at least visualize breathing into areas that we typically ignore throughout the day. Beautiful. Last 3, 2, and 1. We'll come back to center here. So we're going to get into some heart openers pretty quickly here. If you're not using your blocks, I definitely suggest you use them here, only because we just started practice, so you're not going to be as open as you typically would if this were 40 minutes in. But we're going to do a camel variation. So make sure your blocks are where your hands can comfortably set on them. And you'll you'll inhale and you'll lift off your heels. So you'll obviously can't touch the blocks now, but you know that they're there if you're sitting down. So wherever you are right now, just go ahead and push on up, let the heels raise. And then what you'll do from here, you'll keep the right hand on the block. You'll inhale that left arm up and overhead. So pretty much kind of what we just did, but you're finding more length here since we're not sitting on our heels. Big inhale. And this time as we exhale, guys, find a sweeping motion with the left hand. Sweep, sweep, sweep. Find that block on your left side. You're immediately going to inhale and raise back on up. Let the hips get high. And again, you're going to exhale, sweep, sweep, sweep that right hand over. Grab that block. Inhale, hips raise. We'll do this a few times if this is something new for you. So go ahead and watch me for a few if you need to, and then really connect these with your inhales and your exhales. So we inhaled up to this camel. We're exhaling, finding that sweeping motion, letting the hips get heavy. We're inhaling back on up, right hand to the sky. And again, as you exhale, you're just gonna keep finding this motion. So we're gonna do about 5 more. I'll definitely keep cueing, but if you haven't tried so yet, definitely start finding your camel pose. Exhale, sweeping over to the left, hips are heavy. Inhale, hips high, right hand sweeping on up. Beautiful, your exhale will bring you back into center. And again, you're inhaling that left hand up overhead. Exhaling back to center. Inhale that right hand. I'm not even gonna lie, I haven't been counting, so let's do 2 more. Exhale. Inhale, left hand high. Hopefully this is feeling a little bit better for you, a little bit easier. Last one here. And we'll exhale right on back to center. Let those hips get heavy. Go ahead and take a breather, get a little refresher here if you need to. And then you'll want to move these blocks here. So we're going to find a tabletop position. So our knees will be right over our hips and our shoulders over our wrist. Toes tucked or untucked, it doesn't really matter to me. I will say though, if you tuck your toes, you might get a nice stretch at the bottom or for the bottoms of the feet here, but neither here nor there. It's just something to play with. Once you do find that stable position, we're gonna go through our cat-cows here. So let's inhale, drop the belly, shift the gaze towards the sky. Then as you exhale, you're rounding lower, mid, upper back, protecting the shoulders. Inhale, belly heavy. Exhale, chin to chest. Again, finding that protraction. Inhale, drop the belly, shift the gaze. And exhale. So I'm going to start blabbing here, but again, connect your inhales with the belly drop, and your exhales will bring the chin towards the chest. This is amazing to do for, I don't even know how many reasons, but specifically for work at home and for posture. You're allowing your spine to move. You're feeling into your spine. You're bringing awareness to your entire back, your shoulders. You can bring some core activation in here. Unfortunately, as much as I hate to say it, core activation does help with posture. So it's nice to not necessarily have a six-pack, but, you know, bring some awareness there, work it out, find some tension if you can. If you're still doing your normal cat-cows, totally cool, but if you want to close your eyes, get a little bit intuitive with it, I could say, find some animalistic tendencies, go ahead and be my guest. That could be anything like a C-spine, so you would gaze over towards your left heel, then towards your right. You can barrel roll the belly. I realize some people don't know what that means, so I'll walk us through that here. So you're in your tabletop here. As you inhale, push your ribs over towards the right until you can't anymore. Then eventually that belly will find or start falling over towards the ground, and you'll push over to the left and you'll circle back in. So that's basically what barrel rolling of the belly means. You'll start in like that Halloween cat position. You'll start pushing towards the right. Let the belly get heavy. Push towards the left, and you'll end up in that cat position here. So about 2 more rounds. Beautiful. Now, as we finish up that last one here, we're going to stay in our tabletop position, and we'll find thread the needle. So inhale that right arm up overhead, and then as you exhale, it's going to thread through towards the left side of the room. Now, again, your shoulder blade does not have to touch the mat. That doesn't mean you're any less of a yogi than anybody else. It's bringing awareness to where you're open and where you could find more space. So it's simply just the direction to think of the shoulder blade to go. If you're right here and you're feeling it, stay right there. If you have more space, of course, let that shoulder drop to the mat and allow your left hand or your left fingertips to apply pressure into the ground to separate and bring some more space into the shoulder blades. And then once you are here, just settle in for a little bit. If you do typically find a bind, go ahead and let the left hand find the right hip crease. I taught yoga yesterday morning, and I could not for the life of me remember my left and right, so let's hope today will be a better day. If those eyes are closed, just visualize breathing into that back right shoulder blade. Try to keep the hips squared in your center. Beautiful. If you have that bind, go ahead and release it. Push into the left hand simply to unwind. Now we'll stay up here for a moment. So have that right hand up straight towards the sky. And then as you exhale, find a cactus-like shape. So all you're going to do is bend your elbow. When you do that, you should immediately feel the separation of the collarbones. Maybe the chest is lifting a little bit more. And we'll just stay for a moment. Awesome. We'll come back to center. Right away, let's inhale that left hand up overhead. Then as you exhale, you'll ride that all the way down until you thread that left hand over towards the right. And finding whatever feels good with our right hand. So you can always keep the fingertips on the ground as mentioned, or if you did find that bind, go ahead and move so now, or move to there now. Perfect. Keeping those eyes closed. And just settling into some of these poses, right? So you don't necessarily have to find movement every time. Telling myself to remind myself and tell you guys. But go ahead and let gravity try to open up. Let the tissues get a little soft here. 2 more breaths. Last one here. And go ahead and unwind, bringing the right hand to the mat. Gently pushing into that hand simply to unwind. And we'll stay here for a moment. Allow your exhale to find that cactus-like shape again with our left hand here. So simply finding a 90-degree bend with the elbow. And we'll come back to center. So let's tuck those toes if they're not already. Lift the knees, let the hips get high, and you're gonna find a plank pose. Now, if this is too much for you, simply just keep the knees down, but you wanna So go into your plank first at least, and then just let your knees fall right where they are, because you're still getting the core activation, but it's just not as much weight in the hands. You don't want to come back to the tabletop position. That's a common mistake. So you're not getting the same benefits as a plank pose here. This is like your tabletop, so you're feeling nothing in your core, in your stomach here. So you want to tuck the toes, lift the knees and hips, and then you would simply let the knees drop right here. So we'll be here just for a few rounds. Again, this is where we're gonna find some core activation. So activate the core, push into the mat, let the fingers separate here, and just stare right directly in between both hands. Now the magic is gonna come from the heels. Let the heels get high, and of course they're not gonna touch the ground, they're not gonna ever touch the mat, but imagine that motion. So you're pushing the heels back. That will help activate the legs. So we'll be here for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. We'll exhale all the way to the belly. So we're gonna do, you might notice I'm saying the poses before we go to them, so if you are familiar with them, find whatever vibe is yours. We're gonna do Cobra. Cobra can be here, so you can have your hands under your elbows. If you like the Cobra with the 10 and 2 hands, go ahead and be my guest and move there now. And I'll cue us with our inhales and our exhales. So finding what works for you. Typically, this is more beginner friendly, your traditional Cobra. If you have your hands at 10 and 2, you're just gonna be able to possibly find more lift, but it's gonna be a lot on the back. So just make sure you're aware of kind of how you're feeling today. So I'll cue with the hands under the shoulders. Now you don't want a lot of weight in the hands, right? You still wanna, again, activate the core and start utilizing the back muscles a little bit. That will also help with posture here too. So exhale that third eye to the mat for a moment. Maybe you give a nice shake left and right just to massage the third eye. And then on your next inhale, just a gentle baby back bend. Now my hands are already floating. Your hands can stay on the mat, but again, try to lessen the pressure that you're using from the hands. Exhale, third eye to mat. Again, inhale to your Cobra, pushing the tops of the feet into the mat as well, guys. The thighs might raise. And exhale, third eye to mat. Last one here, so biggest Cobra variation that you have today. Maybe you can straighten the arms a little bit. If you do end up here, go ahead and get comfortable for a second. Maybe you find some sways. It's really kind of helping to work out the lower back. If you're a little bit lower, that's totally cool. Maybe you want to do a few more Cobras. Be my guest. Be my guest. Perfect. And eventually we'll all meet with the third eye on our mat. And then we'll tuck the toes, come back to our tabletop position simply to find our first downward facing dog. So again, in downward facing dog, I do like to remind everybody that the heels do not have to touch the ground or touch the mat, just the direction that they're going. So let the heels get heavy here, hips up high, and really visualize melting the chest towards the thigh here. Perfect. You want to really push into the hands. So exactly like we were pushing into the palms, you're going to find that same kind of push and finding equal weight into the hands. Now let your neck get heavy here as well. Maybe that will gaze towards the navel or right in between the feet. If you like pedaling out the heels, so maybe pedaling out the feet, so one heel can get closer to the mat and then the other, you can also move there as well. We have about 5 more breaths here to play. Eventually you will want to find some stillness. And our last breath here, finding a static downward facing dog. Perfect. Now we'll just let the fingertips come to the back of the mat and you'll find a forward fold. So nice bend in the knees. Maybe you grab opposite elbows. I know that's not everyone's jam, which is okay. Everyone is different, so it's enlightening to hear if some of you do not like your traditional forward fold. If that is the case though, just bring your hands to the mat. Maybe they come to the shins. Also, you can bring the blocks here too. I guess a general rule of thumb as I blab on and teach, if the ground is ever far from you, that is always a cue, or that can always be your hint that maybe blocks would be helpful there. Perfect. Unleash that bind here. We'll inhale, halfway lift to a flat back. Then as you exhale, you'll find your downward facing dog. From our downward facing dog, we'll inhale the right foot to the sky. Then as we exhale, let that right foot come to the top of the mat, dropping that back left knee, finding a nice low lunge. So I want to play with the idea of cactusing the elbows because, like I mentioned, for working at home and for posture, it's nice to remind yourself to open up the chest. So inhale the arms up, framing the ears, biceps framing the ears here. As you exhale, cactus and find that back bend. Big inhale, lengthen and straighten out the arms. Exhale, find a bend. And we'll inhale back up to center. Last one here, we'll stay for just a moment. Keeping the gaze towards the sky. And we'll exhale the hands to the mat. And we'll straighten that front right leg, finding our nice half splits. Again, blocks are perfect here in your half split. All you want to do is make sure I'm going to move mine so you can see, make sure the right heel is still grounding and driving into the mat, and flex those right toes towards the face. Keep the spine nice and long. This is where the blocks will come in handy to help you keep the spine nice and long and help you find the length, aka what we all need for our posture. And just breathe for a moment. Beautiful. We'll inhale back into that right leg. Tuck the back left toes and find your downward facing dog. Inhale, left heel to the sky. And then as you exhale, it's going to find the top of your mat, dropping that back knee and rising for your low lunge. Big inhale as the fingers chase the sky. That right hip gets heavy towards the ground. Exhale, cactus. Inhale back up. Exhale, bending the elbows. And you'll inhale back. Last one here, so we'll stay for a moment. Nice breath. And we'll exhale to the mat. Again, straighten that front left leg, keeping the heel down, flexing those toes towards the face. If it helps this definitely helps for me still to this day, a nice cue. Visualize the crown of the head going towards the top of the mat and the nose towards the toes, nose towards toes. So nose not towards knee, we're finding that hunching. So if you just visualize letting the chest come to the top of the mat, that will keep the spine nice and straight. Awesome. And eventually that next inhale will bring you back into your front left leg. Tuck those back toes and find your downward facing dog. Perfect. So just settle in for a moment. We'll be here for about 2 or 3 breaths. If you need to take a breather, definitely feel free to do so. Grab some water. Child's pose is always there for you, even if I'm not cueing it or calling it. Never be afraid to take what you need and leave what you don't. So if you need to rest, please feel free to do so. And if you're with me here, let's inhale that right leg to the sky. As you exhale, the right foot will find the top of the mat. Drop that back left heel and rise for warrior one. So in our warrior one position, we want that back outer edge blade of the foot to really seal into the mat as you find a nice lunge into that front right leg. Now again, always think, at least in this warrior one, think knee over ankle here. And we want to square the hips towards the front of the mat. So everyone take your hands, find those hip bones, and gently be your own personal assistant and guide them towards the front of the mat. Because I guarantee they might be splaying out towards the left side. Totally okay, totally normal, but we want to try to train them a little bit to come to the front of our space. And we'll inhale the arms high. Once you do find that position with the hips, go ahead and inhale the arms high. Palms will be facing one another. And you'll want to find just a nice steady gaze, or a drishti you may hear a lot in yoga. Just something that is not moving, where you can focus your breath, your mind, your energy. We'll be here for a little bit. Again, inhale, lengthening out both sides. And exhale, settle into the space that you've created. Beautiful. Inhale and exhale. Last inhale here, nice length of the spine. And then as we exhale, we'll find warrior two. So now those hips, or those hip points rather, can go towards the left side of the mat, and your arms will be out to a nice T here. Still a nice bend in that front right leg. Don't forget, and don't be afraid to make this back leg work, right? Push into it. You want to have equal weight into both of these legs so you're not really dipping into this front knee and, you know, utilizing your energy in places that it could be spread throughout the body. Pushing away both hands, front and back of the mat here. Maybe we roll those shoulder blades down. Oh, this is my bad, but we should be activating this core the entire time. So keep the core activated. The tailbone might tuck slightly. Gazing over that front right hand. Beautiful. Big inhale here. And exhale. Big inhale. Exhale to settle. This time, as we inhale, we'll reverse our triangle so you'll straighten that front right leg. The only thing changing as you drive that right hand towards the back of your space. Left hand can be wherever it falls. Mine just guides down my left leg, so maybe that's what yours is doing too. And we'll stay for a moment just so you can feel that nice opening, that nice stretch in the right side. And we'll give a break to that front right leg. Gaze can be towards the sky or towards the ground if you're feeling a little imbalanced. Beautiful. Now we'll exhale to find our triangle. So come back to those warrior two-like hands, front and back of your space. I'm going to find a hinging motion with the hips, guys. So our hands are here. Go, 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 lean, lean, lean as much as you can. And eventually that right hand will find your shin or perhaps your handy block here. This is a good pose here. You don't want to sacrifice the length of the spine, the length of this pose to fold. That's a big no-no here. So if you're here and you're feeling it, that's fine. You'll want to keep this left hand towards the top of the sky as you gaze towards maybe your right foot, maybe the top of the mat. And just let those shoulders try to stack. Push that left hip back into space. Beautiful. Big inhales here, finding that same type of sensation with our left side body that we just found in our right. Big inhale. And we'll exhale, lunge into that front knee, pop that left heel off the mat, and you'll be in a nice runner's lunge. Now go ahead and move in this runner's lunge. So maybe you flirt with kind of coming off the back toes a little bit and then pushing that heel back into space. Again, if you sit a lot for working from home, those hips will be tight. So this would be a nice way to gently bring some movement, some space into them. Last one here. And then we'll simply find a nice bump with our back leg, finding a forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift here. And exhale, fold. Big inhale, root to rise. Arms will be up overhead. And we'll exhale the hands to heart center. Perfect, guys. Inhale those arms up overhead. And then as we exhale, we'll hinge at the hips. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, step or hop back and float through your vinyasa if you would like to, or you can just meet us in downward facing dog. It's definitely never necessary. It's just an option that you do have. Then from our downward facing dog, let's inhale that left leg to the sky. Then as you exhale, that left foot will find the top of the mat. You'll slide that right heel down, rising for warrior one. So in your warrior one, of course, make sure you seal down the outer edge blade of our right foot. And probably more than likely your right foot, or I guess whichever foot is in the back at any point in your warriors, might be at like a slight 45-degree angle. So the right toes might be kind of facing the right edge of the mat, and that left heel might be kind of grazing towards the left corner of the mat as well. Go ahead and look. You don't have to stay in this pose. Please look around and see where your body is at in space and bring awareness to the body. Again, we want to bring those hips to the front of the mat. Inhale the arms up overhead. Slight tuck of the tailbone means that core is being activated. And just find a nice steady gaze. Of course, inhaling into the space that we've created. And then you'll exhale to settle. Big inhale here, guys. Exhale, find that drishti. I always remind myself in these poses, God, I remember when I started yoga, warrior ones and warrior twos, I was like, how the hell are we in this pose for this long? Like, this is fucking insane. Wow, sorry for the F-bomb, but it is what it is. And you just gotta, where is your mental state right now? Fight or flight, right? If you want, like, you're uncomfortable, we gotta remember that the body is stronger than the mind gives credit to sometimes. So we really have to train the mind to allow us to find ease and effort at the same time here. Again, big inhale, lengthen the sides. Exhale to settle. Our last inhale here, guys. And we'll exhale, opening up, warrior two. So those hip bones will be towards the left side of the mat. And you'll gaze over towards the right above the left hand here. Pushing energy from both sides here, left and right. Again, just roll those shoulder blades down. Find a nice tuck of the chin. Let the hips open up here. And if the hands ever get tired, guys, prayer hands, hip points, it's never a bad idea, especially if these poses are slightly newer to you, it's never a bad idea to keep the hands on the hip points so you can kind of see where they are here, where your center is. I'll be here for 3, 2, and 1. Flip that front palm, inhale, straighten that front left leg, and you'll find your reverse triangle. Nice break for that front leg, finding some length into the left side. Big inhale and exhale. Last inhale here. We'll exhale back to center, finding again that warrior two torso. And you'll start leaning until you cannot hinge anymore. Then we'll let that left hand fall to whatever you have available to you. Could be that prop, could be the shin. If you know you have the space to touch the ground, please go ahead and be comfortable doing so here. Keeping those shoulders stacked. Keeping a lift here. Keep that left shoulder and left ear separated. And just breathe. Beautiful. 2 more. Inhale. And exhale. Biggest inhale here. And we'll exhale, finding that runner's lunge. So you'll come off the back foot. You'll let that that right heel raise towards the sky. And find some movement here. Find what feels good for a moment. Eventually, after you have enough momentum, you will pop that right foot up towards the front of the mat, and you'll find your nice fold. Beautiful. Inhale, halfway lift, and exhale, fold. This time we'll inhale, root to rise, arm shape of the sun. Exhale, palms to heart center, into our sides. Inhale, arms up overhead. Exhale, hinge at those hips. Inhale, halfway lift. And exhale, we'll flow through our last vinyasa if you are doing those today. Inhaling for upward facing dog. And exhale, downward facing dog. So because it's me, we have to do that one more time. We have to link it to breath to movement. So you'll build some heat here. If you're probably saying, what do you mean finally build heat? Like we've already built heat. But this is just kind of get out of your head and into your body a little bit more. So we're going to link it breath to movement. I'll cue us here. So inhale, right foot raises. Exhale, right foot to the top of the mat. Inhale, warrior one. Exhale, warrior two. Inhale, reverse your triangle. Exhale, find your triangle. That black can still be here. Big inhale. Exhale, find your runner's lunge. And then you'll find your downward facing dog. So again, kind of fast here, kind of slow, whatever works for you. Just make sure you link this to your breath with your movement here. So this should always be a class you come back to as well, knowing that we'll kind of pick up the pace at the end. Inhale, left heel to the sky. Exhale, top of the mat, warrior one. Big inhale. Exhale, open up, warrior two. Inhale, reverse your triangle. Exhale, triangle pose. Big inhale. And exhale, runner's lunge for a moment. And then we won't go to our downward facing dog. We're just gonna bring that right foot up to meet the left and fold for a moment. Inhale, halfway lift. And exhale, fold. Inhale, arms up overhead, shape of the sun. Exhale, palms to heart center. And to our sides. So we're gonna do a balancing pose here too. We're gonna find tree pose, simply because that's a really good one to help with posture. You have to, I feel like I'm saying posture, weird posture. You have to activate the core. You have to keep the spine nice and straight. It's gonna bring some balance, some core awareness, all that jazz to you. So we'll do it on both sides here really quick before we end with a couple gentle poses. So finding your nice mountain pose, right? Lift the inner arches of the feet. Keep the core activated. And we'll take one big inhale. And exhale it all out. Slowly begin to shift the weight into the left foot. And your right foot, you have some options here. You can find a simple kickstand. This is a variation of tree pose. Your foot can be on your shin, or if you do have the space and you're feeling frisky today, you can bring the right foot into the inner left thigh, as I almost fall. The only place I don't want the foot is on the knee. So you have three options. Just make sure it doesn't land on the knee. Once you find what works for you, before we do anything with our arms, I want you to bring awareness into the hip area, the thigh. I bet your knee's probably kind of pushing in. It's probably not as open as it could be. So let's bring our right hand into our right knee or our right thigh and gently just push it open a little bit. Keep that glute activated to keep it here. And you'll find your hands at heart center. Definitely want to find that drishti if you haven't practiced doing that yet. This is going to be a game changer for you in this pose. If you want to grow those branches, go right ahead. Feeling and flirting with the movement of the left ankle. That's okay. That's supposed to happen. We're human. We're trying to balance here. Just bring awareness to that area and try your best to really ground that heel in. Last inhale higher. Last inhale here. And we'll exhale to unwind. Go ahead and shake out that left leg. And we'll move to our right. So I'll stay here so you can see, but you guys can still be at like the top of your mat. So you'll start shifting the weight into our right foot here, allowing that left heel, that left foot to raise, and placing it where you find it to be comfortable. Wow, I can like not talk and do tree pose today. That's wild. So again, bring either the palm, the back of the hand, whatever. Mine just naturally is going to the back of my hand, so that's how I'm gonna push open my left thigh, but whatever works for you here. So gently push it open a little bit, just get used to that sensation, that tension that you may be feeling. Activate that left glute. And you know where to go. You know what your body needs today. If you wanna grow the branches, go ahead and do so. If prayer hands are just enough and you're trying to stay on that right foot, totally don't blame you there either. But either way, we got about 5 breaths here. If this is a super easy pose for you today, you can always try closing your eyes as well. Last 2. And 1. Go ahead and unwind. Awesome job, guys. Crack the toes, the ankles. Mine are doing that. And we're nothing fancy. We're just gonna meet on our shins. You can find that Virasana pose if you like that at the beginning, or if you're kind of over that, don't blame me either way. You can stay on your shins here too. Inhale the arms up overhead. This time as we exhale, we're gonna wrap and find an eagle variation. So left arm on top of right. If this is too much for you and you can't do this, that's okay. Just give yourself a nice hug here, or you can even find like genie arms. So we have a few options. But either way, as long as you're feeling the shoulders separating, or the shoulder blades rather, that's really the only sensation I'm hoping to guide you to. So inhale on up, shift the gaze. Exhale, find that rounding sensation. Beautiful. Inhale on up. Exhale, round. Last inhale here, elbows raised. And exhale to unwind. So because we have a left and a right, we'll be a little symmetrical here. We'll switch sides. So our left arm will be under our right. And we'll find that here again. Inhale, elbows towards the sky. Exhale, round. Inhale, elbows to the sky. And exhale, round. Big inhale here. And exhale to unwind. Perfect. So we'll meet on our backs. So go ahead and let the soles of the feet, the tops of the feet go towards the front of the mat. Scooch those sit bones on up, just so you can find just so your back can find the mat here. Bring the knees into the chest. Slight hug here. Massage of the lower back. Perfect, so keep the knees where they are. Extend the arms out long to both sides, so you'll find again that T position. And then you'll exhale, let the knees fall over to the left as you gaze towards the right for a nice supine twist. Trying to ground down those shoulder blades. You can always use the left hand here to place atop of the right thigh, just to let it get a little bit heavier. Awesome, we'll inhale those knees back to center. And right away, we'll exhale them over towards the left as we gaze, exhale over towards the right as we gaze over towards the left. Just a few rounds of breath. Maybe closing the eyes if that feels good for you today. Last inhale here. And we'll exhale. Your next inhale will bring you back to center. And right away, we're gonna bring the feet towards the sky. So legs up the wall. If this is too hard for you today or ever, totally get that too. Go ahead and bring the block or the prop that you do have right under your sit bones there. That will elevate the hips and allow the heels to drive towards the sky a little bit easier. And once you're there, nothing too strict. Just want you to find some ease. Maybe we roll out the ankles. If it makes a difference to you, we will be going to plow pose in a moment. And if you have no idea what that means, don't worry, I will guide you to it. I do suggest everyone trying if you haven't tried it before. It's really nice to kind of separate and open up the spine a little bit here too. And a nice inversion to let the blood drain towards the hips, towards the head. Perfect. So from our legs up the wall, go ahead and go to your plow pose now. If you've never done the plow pose here, I will walk you through it. So you're probably gonna want let's go to like a shoulder stance first. So go ahead and push the elbows into the mat. Let those let the hips lift. And then you'll grab the back of probably your sit bones here, or maybe your sit bones right here. And eventually maybe you find the hip bones. And let the feet get heavy. So maybe they touch the ground, or maybe they just go in that general direction. And this is your plow pose, finding a nice release in the lower back. Now your hands never have to leave your hips. If that's helping you get them up over your head, please keep the hands there. And we'll be here just for 3, 2, and 1. Gently unwind here. And we'll find a resting pose. So whether that means your feet are out long towards both corners of the mat, arms up overhead, or if you want to end with a nice hip opener here, you can bring the soles of the feet together as the knees go out wide. Maybe one hand to the belly and the other to the chest. Either way, find your final fidgets, find whatever resting pose works for you. And this is going to be where I leave you today. So I always appreciate the love, the suggestion, the comments, the feedbacks. They really brighten up my day and help me, come up with some more flows for you. So if this is too hard, too easy, if you have any questions, definitely don't hesitate to reach out to me, whether it's on YouTube. I'm pretty active on my Instagram with yoga, so whatever works for you works for me. Now, stay here as long as you have today or as long as you need, and then maybe you can stay there for a little bit longer. Again, like, subscribe, comment. Thank you guys so much. I hope that this works for you if you're working from home or if you're just looking for a better posture or awareness to your posture, that this will work as well. So I hope you enjoy this, your day, your evening, your weekend, wherever you are, whatever day it is. And I will meet you on your mats again very soon.